And the rivalry continues. For the fourth time in the last 5 years, the Bills and the Chiefs will meet in the playoffs. This time in the AFC Championship, with a spot in the Super Bowl on the line. The Chiefs are 3-0 in their previous playoff meetings, but the Bills did beat Kansas City back in the regular season. So will this be the year that Buffalo finally gets over the hump, takes down the Chiefs in the playoffs, and gets back to the Super Bowl? Or will Kansas City get the win and make their third straight title appearance? That's what we're here to break down today. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. So glad that you could join us to break down this AFC Championship game. Maybe the best of the two championship games that we have coming up on Sunday. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home to tons of exclusive content, tons of betting content over there as well. The season, is coming to an end, not just for college, obviously, but for the NFL as well. But the season never dies here at our channel. So we have tons of content on our website to help you get you through this offseason. We're going to have tons of content here on the channel to help get you through this offseason. So if you just love football, this is the place for you. So go check it out. Everything down in the description below. Subscribe to the channel and become a member of our GE Nation. So this is shaping up to be a fantastic game. Per usual, right? Some are already kind of alluding to Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes maybe becoming the new Peyton Manning and Tom Brady type rivalry. And, the last couple playoff meetings, really the last couple meetings period that we've seen between these two quarterbacks have been phenomenal. Last year's playoff meeting in Buffalo was fantastic. The game back in the regular season of this year was fantastic. Obviously, the 13-second game where the Chiefs were able to sneak out an overtime victory in the divisional round was fantastic. And I think we're going to be on deck for another great game this Sunday. A lot to break down on both sides here, but we'll go ahead and start on the offense, and we'll start with the Bills, where it's the Josh Allen show. This is a true MVP candidate, and what amazes me the most about the Bills this year, and more so Josh Allen, is, back in the offseason, the last offseason, the Bills got rid of a lot of players. Stephon Diggs being the big one, lost a lot of guys on defense. It felt like the Bills were entering a mini rebuild. They were still going to be the favorite to win the AFC East, but were they going to be good enough to make a Super Bowl run? And I would say they clearly have defied those odds and clearly have a fantastic shot to take down the Chiefs this Sunday and get to the Super Bowl. Allen has thrown for over 3,700 yards, 28 touchdowns, just 6 interceptions. He's rushed for over 530 yards and 12 touchdowns. In the playoffs, their two games against the Broncos and the Ravens, he's completed 75% of his passes for 399 yards and 2 touchdowns. Also has 2 rushing touchdowns to go along with that. When he played the Chiefs, back in November in the regular season, had 262 yards, a touchdown, and 55 rushing yards, and that massive rushing touchdown that put the game away. He is a do-it-all player. He is doing it all for the Bills. If they're going to win this game on Sunday, it's going to be because of Josh Allen, no doubt about it. And this feels like a Bills team that has their mindset has changed. They don't feel like they're under a lot of pressure. They feel cool. They feel relaxed. They know what they're going up against. They know the challenge that they're about to face, and they don't seem to be too worried about it. This is a very confident football team heading into what will be one of those toughest environments to play in the National Football League. Another thing that the Bills have going for them outside Josh Allen is their running game. Obviously, Allen's mobility is a thing to watch out for, but you've also got to watch out for James Cook. This Bills team averages over 130 rushing yards per game. That's 9th in the entire league. And Cook has over 1,000 yards on the year, has rushed for nearly 200 yards in 2 playoff games. The key for Buffalo, more than anything in this game, when you go on a road in a game of this magnitude, you've got to make sure you take care of the football. Take care of the football and protect your quarterback. The Chiefs' pass rush was phenomenal last week against the Texans. Had 8 sacks on C.J. Stroud. So Buffalo's got to make sure they give Allen time to throw. And if he's under pressure, we're going to need to see Allen make some fantastic plays with his legs, whether that's picking up first downs or just extending plays long enough to find some open receivers. But if he's constantly under duress and doesn't have time to get the ball out, doesn't have time to go through his reads, it could be a very long day for the Bills. I will say their offensive line has done great. Only 17 sacks allowed on the year. The Chiefs have 47 on the year. So that battle in the trenches will be something I'm really watching out for on Sunday night. The Chiefs, on the other hand, offensively, look, we know about Patrick Mahomes. We know about Travis Kelce, right? How great they are, 2 of the greatest to ever do it at their positions. But this offense for Kansas City hasn't been great. It really hasn't. This has not been your stereotypical Chiefs offense where they're just lighting up the scoreboard, where they're just dominating opponents with the passing ability of Patrick Mahomes. I mean, even against the Texans, they only mustered 212 yards of offense. really couldn't get much going against Houston in that game. The Chiefs benefited a lot from special teams, defense, and maybe some fortunate calls from the officials, which we'll touch on shortly. But this is a team that hasn't hit the 30-point mark since November 24th against the Panthers. So they've played 7 straight games where they have failed to hit the 30-point mark. They're middle of the pack in the league in total offense, 16th overall at 327.6 yards per game. Mahomes has had a mediocre year, 26 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, only had 177 passing yards and a touchdown against the Texans in the divisional round. But they're going to need to see the Mahomes that we've been so used to seeing for so many years. We need to see him extend plays with his legs, which he did a couple of times against the Texans. We need to see him utilize his speedy wide receivers, guys like Xavier Worthy, get into open space against this Bills defense. Because while Travis Kelce kind of saw a resurgence against the Texans, he hit over 100 reception yards for the first time since November 4th, and that was only the second time all year that he hit 100 reception yards. I have a feeling Sean McDermott and the Bills are going to have him kind of locked up, almost bracketing Kelce. Who's going to step up offensively outside of him to help the Chiefs? We know the run game can be there. We know the run game has been decent at times this year, but this Bills defense is stout. This Bills defense is strong. So we've got to see, again, these receivers get into space. We've got to see them get a lot of yards after the catch. We've got to see Mahomes play a lot better than he has for the majority of this year. But he has a very good chance to do that facing a Bills defense that's a little bit banged up. The Bills, unfortunately for them, are going to enter this game with a few questions. Christian Benford and Taylor Rapp, both questionable for this game heading into Sunday night, at least at the time of this video, we should say. Both got a little bit banged up in their game against the Ravens. So if 2 of their better players in the secondary are out for this game, Mahomes might be licking his chops saying, hey, I'm back. I'm going to come out there and finally hit over 200, 250 yards, whatever it is. And he's really going to test this Bills secondary against the best quarterback in the league right now. So that's something that I'm really interested to watch out for, is the status of those 2 players, and if they can't play, how the Bills adjust in this environment against this offense. The Bills did a great job defensively the first time they met. Back in November, the regular season meeting in Buffalo, they held the Chiefs to just 259 yards of offense. They forced 2 interceptions on Patrick Mahomes, and they've got to do the exact same thing this Sunday. Turnovers are the key, right? So for the Bills, you've got to take care of the football. You don't want to give Patrick Mahomes any extra opportunities to touch the ball. And for the Bills defense, you're trying to find every opportunity to get the ball away from Patrick Mahomes, right? So don't give him the ball, take it away from him. That's what the Bills have got to do. They did great doing that in the first meeting. They got to do it again one more time. One thing that I think is interesting here is the fact that Mahomes has been sacked 39 times on the year. Chiefs allowed 47 sacks, but Mahomes himself has been sacked 39 times. So if they can get some pressure on Patrick Mahomes and make sure he doesn't escape the pocket, they're going to be in good shape. Get pressure on. This offensive line has not been that great for Kansas City. The Bills have got the pass rush to do it. So if they can generate pressure on Mahomes, force him into some mistakes, strip sacks, second and third and long situations, they're going to be looking good. But the Chiefs, as we know, are notorious for getting into those situations and somehow finding a way to pick them up, right? So if you're the Bills, get them in that spot and then do everything you can not to screw it up. If you've got them backed up on a 3rd and 15, a 3rd and 12, whatever it is, don't allow Travis Kelce to be open in the middle of the field. Don't allow Patrick Mahomes to scramble out right and then somehow draw a roughing the passer call like he tried to do and like he maybe did a few times against Houston. You've got to find a way to limit those big-time conversions. You've got to, because the Chiefs are converting on 48.5% of their 3rd downs. They're converting on 70.6% of their 4th downs. So you've got to get them off the field. So if you're not gonna force turnovers, you got to get them off the field as quickly as possible and give Josh Allen every opportunity to touch the football and to put points on the board and maybe get to a point where the lead is so insurmountable even for Patrick Mahomes. For the Chiefs, their key is containing Josh Allen, right? His dual threat mobility is what makes him so dangerous. That's what makes him so scary for opposing defenses. We know how great of an arm he has. We know how accurate of a passer he is. Takes great care of the football. We saw how dangerous he can be with his legs all year long, but even against the Chiefs back in November, how dangerous he can be. So do the Chiefs come up with a new recipe to contain him? Do they find a way to limit him and his rushing ability? Do they find a way to make this Bills offense one-dimensional, where it's only Josh Allen able to throw, or maybe it's only James Cook able to run? They've got to find a way to limit the big plays from the Bills and take away the Bills' balance that they have, which we just talked about earlier. This is a team that only had 127 yards of offense, the Bills did, against the Ravens. The Bills won that game mostly due to A lot of turnovers from the Ravens, and a very uncharacteristic game from Mark Andrews, who had that costly fumble late in the game, and then, of course, the more costly dropped two-point conversion that would have tied the game. You could argue that this should be the Ravens and the Chiefs right now, not the Bills. The Bills were very fortunate to get away with that game, and Bills offense that really struggled against that Ravens defense. The Chiefs are 8th in the league against the run. They're 9th overall in total defense. They've got the ability to stop the Bills. Again, it's a matter of pressuring Josh Allen like they did against C.J. Stroud last week and limiting those big-time plays. Make them really, really stretch out these drives if you're the Chiefs defense. Now, last thing I want to talk about here, too. Who's going to win this game? Who's going to advance to the Super Bowl to play either the Commanders or the Eagles? Obviously, the big talk around this game is officiating as well. And that's something that we have to take in mind when we make a pick. Because you would be blind and you would be naive to think that doesn't play a role in this game. The Chiefs have been very, benefited quite a bit from calls from the officials. And I'm not saying that's the reason they beat the Texans last week. I'm not saying that. Obviously, the officials did not allow that big kickoff return to start the game. They did not tighten up the defense in the red zone, holding the Texans to multiple field goals. Obviously, I think they changed the momentum of the game many times with those late hits on Patrick Mahomes. And luckily, they didn't throw the one where Mahomes tried to flop and get one. But it should be noted that they have sided with the Chiefs more times than not in big-time games. Take a look at the graph here. Since 2021, the Chiefs have played in 11 playoff games. And in 10 of those playoff games, they have had less penalties and less penalty yardage than their opponents. They're 10-1 in those games. Couple games here and there, sure. And there's something to be said for discipline. The Chiefs are a very disciplined team. They're a very well-coached team. But if you look at all the other teams on this list, both teams from the NFC and the AFC, those numbers don't even come close to comparing. 11 games and 10 of them, they've benefited the most. I just don't buy that. Even against the Texans. The Texans had 8 penalties for 82 yards. The Chiefs only 4 penalties for 29 yards. You're telling me over a 60-minute game, that's it? I just have a hard time believing that. And obviously the Chiefs getting these calls sometimes in the biggest moments of the game. A call that would extend a drive. A call that would negate a touchdown. Furthermore, did a little bit more research. The Chiefs, as we know, have been very lucky, very fortunate in some of the games they've played. 11 of their 15 wins decided in the regular season decided by one possession. And I think it's interesting that in 11 one-possession wins, only 4 of those games did the Chiefs have more penalties or more penalty yardage than their opponents. Only 4 of them. That's it. Overall, in those 11 one-possession games, the Chiefs' opponents were called for a combined 78 penalties for 604 yards. It's average of 55 penalty yards per game and a little over 7 penalties per game. The Chiefs, meanwhile, in those exact same games, called for just 62 penalties for 534 yards. That's 16 less penalties. That's 70 less penalty yards, an average of just 48.5 penalty yards per game, and just about 5.6 penalties per game. And some of those, again, coming in the biggest moments, such as the pass interference call against the Bengals in Week 2, and sometimes the no calls that the Chiefs get to go their way, such as the non-pass interference call that was not called when they played the Falcons in Week 3. A lot of questionable calls and decision-making throughout the league for years now for Kansas City that has helped them in some of the biggest games of the year, including the Super Bowl a few years ago against the Eagles. And again, not a hater. I have no dog in this fight. I'm not a Bills fan. I'm not a Chiefs fan. I'm not a Commanders fan. I'm not an Eagles fan by any means for any of these teams. I'm not. But again, you would be naive. You would be blind if you would say you don't see these things and that these don't play a role. And for that reason, among many, I got to pick the Chiefs in this game. The Chiefs, number one, do have the best quarterback in the league right now. I believe that. Patrick Mahomes is extremely decorated. He has proven time and time again that he can deliver in the clutch. Even when his teams are not at their best and do not seem to be playing their best, he always seems to wake up and deliver. Same for Travis Kelce, who has a quiet regular season, but always wakes up for the playoffs. We saw that last year. We're seeing that again this year. Kansas City is a very difficult place to play. Home field advantage can play a major role in this game. If this game was in Buffalo, I'd be all over the Bills. But playing in Kansas City with a spot in the Super Bowl on the line, that's a tough place to win for anybody. And then secondly, I look at this game and I say, number one, I can't pick against the Chiefs when they haven't lost to the Bills in playoff time, right? They haven't lost. 4th time in 5 years they've met. They're 3-0 in those previous meetings. I'm not going to pick against the Chiefs here. I can't pick the Bills to win until I see them do it. But then finally, when push comes to shove, at the end of the day, which team is going to get the call that benefits them the most if it matters, like in the big moments? who's going to get those calls. And it's going to be Kansas City all day long. It's going to be Kansas City all day long. And I'm not saying that's why they're going to win this game. I'm not saying that the outcome's necessarily already been determined or anything like that. But when there's a big play, a big moment, anything like that, and there's a penalty on the ground, you can bet your money it's going to end up benefiting Kansas City in the end. Give me the Chiefs to win this game. Whether they win it fairly or not, that's for you to decide. But they are going to win this game over the Bills, and they will advance to their third straight Super Bowl, where they will either meet the Commanders or the Eagles in a rematch of just a few Super Bowls ago. But regardless, the Chiefs going to advance, looking to make it 3 Super Bowl victories in a row. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home to our expert picks and home to tons of exclusive football content year-round, because while the season may be coming to an end, it never ends here at our channel. So make sure to check it out, subscribe, become a member of our GE Nation. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.